Imagine a kingdom so wondrous that it seemed almost divine, a land where rivers shimmered with gold, miraculous fountains promised eternal life, and a powerful Christian king ruled with unmatched wisdom and faith. This was the legend of Prester John, a tale that captivated medieval Europe and shaped the ambitions of explorers and rulers alike. But who was Prester John, and why did his story hold such an enduring grip on the imagination? Born during the turbulent years of the Crusades, the story of Prester John was more than a fantasy. It was a beacon of hope for a Europe embroiled in conflict and uncertainty. At a time when Islamic empires dominated much of the known world, the idea of a distant Christian ally ruling a utopia was a promise of salvation. His kingdom was said to be a place untouched by war or suffering, a divine stronghold capable of tipping the scales in favor of Christendom. But was this kingdom real, or was it a mirage born from desperation and dreams? As we unravel the story of Prester John, we'll discover how this legend not only shaped the course of history, but also revealed humanity's unrelenting desire to believe in the extraordinary. The legend of Prester John began with a single document, a letter that claimed to be written by the king himself. Appearing in the mid-12th century, the letter was addressed to Byzantine Emperor Manuel I Komnenos, and later circulated widely across Europe. It described a kingdom so miraculous it defied belief, a land of justice and faith where emerald palaces gleamed, rivers flowed with gold, and no one knew suffering or poverty. Prester John's rule extended over 72 nations, some said to be descendants of the biblical lost tribes of Israel. Most enticing of all, he pledged to join Europe in reclaiming the Holy Land. The letter electrified Europe, arriving at a moment of despair after the failed Second Crusade. Its claims seemed plausible to a medieval audience unfamiliar with the vast and mysterious regions beyond their maps. For many, the idea of a powerful Christian king in the East offered not just hope, but a strategic advantage. Here was an ally, rich, pious, and ready to march to war. But was the letter authentic? Modern scholars agree it was likely a forgery, crafted by clerics or propagandists to rally morale and support for the Crusades. Its vagueness, mentioning lands beyond Persia and India, added to its mystique, leaving readers to speculate about the kingdom's location. With Europe's limited geographical knowledge, the letter's claims were just credible enough to ignite centuries of exploration and ambition. The letter's true authorship may never be known, but its impact was undeniable. It turned a fictional king into a symbol of divine intervention, blending hope, faith, and fantasy into a narrative that would inspire generations. Yet the question remained, where was this kingdom? The letter had planted a seed of obsession, and Europe's explorers were determined to uncover the truth. The legend of Prester John did not remain confined to Europe's imagination. It became a driving force behind some of the most ambitious voyages of the medieval and early modern periods. To European rulers and explorers, the promise of Prester John's kingdom was more than myth. It was a tantalizing prospect of divine aid and geopolitical power. In the 15th century, as the age of exploration began to unfold, Portuguese explorers, led by Prince Henry the Navigator, pursued the legend with vigor. They believed Prester John's kingdom might lie deep in Africa, particularly in Ethiopia, a Christian kingdom whose isolation and ancient traditions made it a natural candidate. Portuguese emissaries eventually reached Ethiopia in the early 16th century, expecting to find the legendary king. Instead, they encountered proud rulers of the Solomonic dynasty, who bore no connection to Prester John. Though Ethiopia's Christian heritage fascinated Europeans, it quickly became clear that it was not the utopia of legend. The search for Prester John wasn't limited to Africa. In the 13th century, early European encounters with the Mongol Empire had sparked speculation that the mighty Mongols, with their vast dominion and surprising presence of Nestorian Christians, might be linked to the legend. Some even speculated that Genghis Khan or his descendants could be connected to Prester John. This belief was short-lived, as the Mongols' brutal conquests dispelled any notions of a benevolent Christian ally. As the search expanded eastward, explorers like Marco Polo described lands in India and Central Asia that some interpreted as possible locations for Prester John's kingdom. Each failed expedition only deepened the mystery. If the kingdom wasn't in Africa, perhaps it was hidden in the mountains of Asia. If it wasn't in Asia, maybe it lay beyond the known world entirely. What made the legend so enduring was its adaptability. The letter's vague descriptions allowed explorers to reframe their searches, keeping hope alive despite repeated disappointments. Prester John became not just a symbol of divine intervention, but also a reflection of Europe's boundless curiosity and ambition. The obsession with his kingdom drove explorers to map unknown territories, expanding the boundaries of the known world in the process. Even as evidence of its existence grew more tenuous, the allure of Prester John continued to push humanity toward the horizon. As the age of exploration progressed, the dream of Prester John's kingdom began to crumble. The world's geography became clearer, yet no golden palaces or miraculous fountains of youth were ever found. Scholars and explorers alike were forced to confront the likelihood that the legend had no basis in reality. But how had it endured for so long, and what could explain its remarkable influence? One of the most plausible explanations ties the legend to Ethiopia. The Christian kingdom had long fascinated Europeans with its ancient religious traditions and its claim of descent from the biblical Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. Ethiopian rulers were respected and admired, but they were nothing like the Prester John described in the letter. The Solomonic dynasty, while powerful, ruled a very real kingdom with its own struggles and complexities, not the utopia of legend. The Mongols, too, played a surprising role in sustaining the myth. Early reports of the Mongol Empire's vastness and the presence of Nestorian Christians within its territories led some Europeans to conflate the empire with Prester John's kingdom. This association, though fleeting, reflects how eager Europeans were to assign the legend to any distant and powerful land. The idea of a Christian ally capable of challenging Islamic empires was simply too appealing to abandon. But the most compelling explanation for the legend's persistence lies in Europe itself. The letter describing Prester John's kingdom mirrored the hopes, fears, and desires of the medieval world. At a time of political instability, religious conflict, and limited geographical knowledge, the story filled a psychological and cultural void. It offered hope in the form of a powerful Christian ally, a utopia untouched by Europe's struggles, and a promise that divine intervention was within reach. The legend was, in essence, a reflection of Europe's longing for salvation. Prester John's kingdom may have never existed, but its influence was very real. It shaped the way Europeans viewed distant lands, inspired exploration, and demonstrated how myths can drive humanity to extraordinary lengths. In the end, the story of Prester John was less about geography and more about the enduring power of imagination, a power that even today continues to inspire quests for the unknown.